Hi everyone, welcome to the channel and welcome to Old School Magic. This time I'm piloting my 4-color deadguy ale deck against this guy. A blue and green mage with a deck called Tropical Twister. And as always, the games we play are with the ban and restriction list from the Swedish format. And this game we're also using the legal sets from Swedish. That means Alpha, Beta and Unlimited, Antiquities, Arabian Nights, Legends and The Dark are all legal sets. So let's go over the Tropical Twister. The Tropical Twister is a homebrew deck and it's built around the Time Twister, and it's the proxy card in the bottom left corner right there. Jacob, who's piloting the deck, is awaiting his Time Twister from the mail. So we had to make do for this game here. Which is a darn shame because the rest of the deck is really pretty in my opinion. So I believe the theme of his deck is staying alive with the counter spells and using Mazes of Ith and also the Sonic Blasts, and then getting out a bunch of mana, power, fast bond, etc. And as the mana base evolves, he'll eventually cast the Time Twister and drawing into either an Amnesia, thereby emptying the opponent's hand, totally like a Mind Twist, but much more expensive, but also unrestricted. So he plays with 2 of them in his deck. And either before he casts that Amnesia, or if he doesn't draw an Amnesia, he can use Stormseeker for a lot of direct damage, for 8 points of damage in the opposing player's draw step. And combined with the 4 Sonic Blasts in the deck, that provides him with another win con with just burning the opposing player out with Stormseekers and Blasts. Finally, he has a win con with a single Mahomochi Jin. This is a big beater that he can put down usually after he has emptied the opposing player's hand with Amnesia before that, or if he has sufficient counter magic to protect it with. It's big enough to survive almost any other creature in the format. It will realistically meet, and as it is a flyer, it's pretty difficult to jump block it with small blockers. As for the deck I'm playing, it's actually grew out of a mono black archetype that I just continue to splash colors into. So at the moment it's what I presume is a 4-color deck, mono black with 3 splashes, everything but green. And it's primarily an aggro deck with Jutemjins, Singia Vampires, a single Serenity Befried at the moment, and a playset of Sonic Hypnotic Spectres. And the deck has the mono black philosophy in that every mana source can produce black mana, and that opens up the possibility for a full playset of Underworld Dreams that provides the deck with some much needed reach and burn effect. And they can do this with in combination with the draw 7s from the splashes of the blue and the red, so they can do about 7 or 8 points of damage after a wheel or Time Twister. The red splash provides additional burn in form of the lightning bolts, and we also have removal from white and the power cards from the blue splash. So let's see how these 2 decks will duke it out. And the Tropical Twist players on the right, and it can be seen by that tropical playmat he plays with, and he starts out with a single island here. And the composition A, well, we have the Black Lotus, cracking for 3 blue mana and time walking, and then using the Underground Sea as a black mana, and then casting a Demonic Tutor, going for the 2nd turn here. Balance and Ancestral Recall, and obviously I tutored for that. So this is a very strong start, but he just straight up Ancestral Recalls himself. Much easier than using a tutor for that. And putting out another island. So now he has counter magic online. And I have one of each dual land, and that's always nice, because with a deck with as many splashes as mine, with such a greedy mana base, sometimes I struggle with getting sufficient the right colors. So I strip mine one of the islands in order to keep him from playing counter magic and trying to put out a Hypnotic Spectre, but he power sinks it. And I also did this because I could smell that he didn't have enough blue mana, as he would usually get out more blue mana here. So he recalls his Ancestral Recall, casts it again, and that provides him with a lot of card advantage at this point. I've already sacked that Lotus, so he's at a real advantage at this point. He also has his mana base very secured here with that Mana Bird. It will provide him with that second blue source, but there's an Underworld Dreams against him here. At least there's that. So he attacks with the Factory, and I don't have an answer for it, or so it seems at least. Choosing to let it go in. So, trying out with a second Hypnotic Spectre here, and he immediately Sonic Blasts it at my end step. Those Hypnotic Spectres are not very good against red players, but against someone who doesn't play red, they're really effective and scary, I think. But there's a second Factory, so now he can pump his Factory. And he attacks me, but I disenchant it. There's a City of Brass, so there's a lot of mana on both sides at this point, but at least there's that Underworld Dreams providing a clock on him. Okay, but he keeps on producing those factories. And he's counting his mana. I wonder if there's an Amisha. That's always a scary part of this deck. No, he attacks with the Factory. And there's a Swords to Plowshares. Okay, and at my draw step, he Storm Seekers me. I only have 3 cards in hand though. Okay, the second Underworld Dreams. Oh, okay, he counters it. That would be very brutal against him. Sometimes he plays with Desert Twister and the Tropical Twist deck, but he doesn't at the moment. We saw in the deck picture before. So he can't remove those Underworld Dreams with any other cards than a Chaos Orb. Has a library. So he's actually ahead in life at this point because of that Swords to Plowshare and Storm Seeker, and he just keeps on punching through with that Factory. He has a Time Twister in hand, or he has the Proxy, but he can't really play it as long as that Underworld Dreams is out. And I wonder if he would anyway, because I have a Library of Alexandria in play. He just seems satisfied with punching me in the face with that Factory. And I can't really do anything, so... There's a Mace of Fifth, and now he comes over again. Okay, I'm at 9 life at this point. Okay, so there's a Jusum Jin, and he doesn't counter it. And I know I can't attack him with that Mace of Fifth, and I know that the Jusum Jin will damage me, but at least it'll keep that Factory at bay for now. Okay, so he cast Stream of Life for 9 points of life here. Yeah, 9 points. That's actually huge at this point, because it's all about racing each other to the bottom. And, well, it's such a rare card to see played, but here it really does wonders, that Stream of Life. So, I'm not sure. Yeah, he Sonic Blasts my dice. So this is getting close to the end here, I suppose. 4 points of life, and that Jusum Jin will kill me. So he passes the turn here. Okay, so I elect to make that Jusum Jin go farm before it's my turn, so I don't take any damage from him. And I have a blocking Factory at hand, so back at 9 life. It's a pretty unorthodox way to use Swords to Plowshares, but what can you do, right? At least it's a bit of a standstill at this point, and now I have the dreams on him. trying to save up for that Library of Alexandria. It is risky though, because he can empty my hand with an amnesia, or worse yet, use Stormseeker to will almost kill me outright if I have a full hand. But I like to do it. I'm trying to get within lower range. What was that? Oh yeah, he cast Time Walk. Just using it for, okay, to get more cards out, and then he draws into a Mahamoti Jin. He must be kicking himself for not using the Time Walk now. But we get into lower range, so we gotta read fast in those books in the library. That Jin will finish us fast. I can't block it with the factory as it's a flyer. So we sinkhole the Mace of Ith. And this might seem a bit odd, but I'm doing this in order to get out of Yusum Jin. The plan was here, if he doesn't have a Mace of Ith, it's dangerous for him to attack with that Mahamoti Jin, because I can counter attack with the Yusum Jin. So I might be lucky and it will hold him back, but he counters me. And as I use the factory to play it, he can actually do 7 points of damage to me here. So this is bad. Reading more books with that library. Trying to make something happen here. Okay, that's a Swords to Plowshares though. Puts him at 15 life and I'm at 2, so this is all about trying to get him out of here before I die to a Sonic Blast. And I attack here, okay. That's weird. I must have an answer in hand. He jumps block with the bird. Okay, he drew into a Sonic Blast and kills me. And I activate the factory here, and no, I bolt him out of rage, and there's my hand. It's only mana. So there wasn't much I could do here. That was round 1. There was a win for the Tropical Twist. Round 2, we both starting out with the Library of Alexandria here. And we both have plenty of land destructions in our deck. I play with Sinkholes and he plays with Ice Storms. Okay, he plays a Tropical Island and passes the turn. Reading more. Need a second black mana source in order to sinkhole here, if I have a sinkhole. I don't. I would have cast it here because now he has double blue mana, so he can counter my sinkhole. He actually has to discard. And in my upkeep he mana shorts me, but I can still draw with that library, so I do that. Probably uses those mana shorts in combination with the Stormseekers. So we have enough mana for Time Walking, getting a second turn here. And now I can get in with the Ancestral Recall. I remember I was really desperate for that blue mana there. And when I got it, I could just explode. That mana short could not hold me back. Okay, so putting out a Serenity Freed and a Chaos Orb, and then orbing his library. Need to turn it off ASAP. I know I don't have enough cards to use my own library at the moment, but at least we have an attacking creature. And we have to make everything count here, as he's tapped out and he can't counter me. And look at his hand, there's a mana drain. And it's so dangerous because after a mana drain he can actually cast Amnesia that much easier. He also has a Mace of Ith, so that turn to be freed will not be a huge problem for him. There it goes. And then he passes the turn, and now I'm starting to die on my own Ifrit. But at least, actually, I still have a working library. Oh yeah, it was because of that Ancestral Recall, probably. So I could cast a bunch of cards and still make it work. So we get a Yusum Jin out, and he counters it. And then an Underworld Dreams. And I thought the Underworld Dreams was more important against him than the Yusum Jin. So I actually tried to bait his counter magic here. The big problem is that Amnesia he drew there. Okay. So he's using... Oh, yeah, okay. He Stormseekers me for 5. He doesn't have sufficient mana. It doesn't have sufficient blue mana to cast the Amnesia. Lucky for me. It requires 3 blue mana sources to cast. Okay, there's a sinkhole. He's tapped out, so that was my opening. Still, he did a bunch of damage to me. I'm at 9 life at this point. So we need to work fast. As a single vampire, I had a Doom Gin in hand, I remember, but I'm too afraid to cast it because I'll take too much damage from those Sonic Blasts, and I want that vampire to draw a Sonic Blast from him if needs be. I don't want him to kill me with one. He has a regrowth, so there's a Mace of Death. But imagine if you drew a Sonic Blast, it could actually regrowth the other one and just burn me out. Or take the Stormseeker. But okay, he's focusing on surviving at this point. And now I'm just piling on the creatures here. That's one thing my deck does pretty well. It's just producing threats each turn. 2 Untold Dreams now, and there's an entire army of demons there. I think this, unless he can Sonic Blast me out, or cast a bunch of Stormseekers out, I think this is game. That's a factory. It won't help him against the flyers though, but he can't really counterattack either because his mace will untap one of the creatures. And here they come. Untapping the vampire, and the Spectre gets in, nicking a crumble. That's a 5 points of damage. So he will be at 1 life in his draw step, yeah. That's it. There we go. He tries to block with the factory and a disenchant. We're just fooling around. But okay. Pretty exciting. It's pretty even at this point. This is 1-1 between the decks. And that's the 3rd time that library is out. Can't fault his luck here. Boom. Strip mining it. Well, neither of us wants to lose games on a library, so try to get a bunch of answers for it in our decks. I don't agree with the people that say Sinkhole is a waste of a card, at least not in Swedish. It's, in my opinion, very important. But this time it was a strip mine, and we just cast a Demonic Tutor immediately because we need to get it to work before he has that double blue mana. So we get our card and passing the turn. And that's the 2nd blue mana. So now anything we put out is probably just suicide. But there's a Library of Alexandria. Very nifty. I don't know if I tutored for that, but I wouldn't put it past me. There's an orb though, and then he can remove it. If he hits, and he does. Okay. But he's tapped out now, so we have an ancestor recall. Now I'm mind twisting him for 2. I'm trying to hit his counter magic here, if possible. Ooh, getting 2 Stormseekers out. That was pretty nice. They do pack a punch. I love those cards. It would have been better to get the mana drain that he seemed to be having in his hand there as a recall as well. But I needed to try and make it work, and yeah, now I'm sinkholing his blue mana. I'm just trying to either get his blue mana sources away so I can get out with my cards, or at least draw his counter magic. But he mana drained, so now he has 2 additional mana sources here. So he can't cast Amnesia here. That's a Mace of Ith. And the recall, okay. It's fueled by the mana from that mana drain. And he's taking the mana drain and the Chaos Orb back. can't fault that logic, I suppose. So just before it's my turn, I bolt him. It's a very strong hand he has here. Then casting Hypnotic Spectre. I thought I would cast Wheel of Fortune here. That would be epic, just to get his cards out of the way. Also because I bolted him, but I suppose not. Okay, 2 Spectres, and he's considering mana draining it, but he's letting it pass, and then at my end step he just Sonic Blasts it. I really want him to use that mana drain before he has 3 blue mana sources. And that's because if he gets those blue mana sources out, he can fuel his Amnesia with the mana drain. As a Jusumjin is still very tempted to counter it here. And okay, and he does. It's too risky to keep up. Even though it would damage me, he can't have both a Spectre and a Jusumjin against him when he only has a single Mace of Ith. So he uses the Ancestor Recall. There's his 3rd island, so now he can use Amnesia. And there's a Chaos Orb. And then he blasts the Spectre. At least it does damage to him. But his defenses are pretty formidable at this point with both a Chaos Orb and a Mace of Ith out. Okay, we have a Spectre just trying to ramp out enough creatures to overwhelm him. To tear down those defenses, if possible. And there's always a possibility of disenchanting the Chaos Orb when he activates it. But then I suppose he can just counter me. There's the Lotus. Not the best pick at this point. But it's a great card in this deck, mainly because there's so many colors as well. Okay, trying my luck with Untold Dreams. And he counters it. No, what? Okay, yeah, he counters it. And then he starts stripping and ice storming my white mana sources here. This is so I believe it's so I can't disenchant his Chaos Orb when he activates it. But then I draw straight into a City of Brass. It's pretty lucky. Okay, Jusumjin getting countered. Still trying, and as I said in the intro, his game plan here is to survive long enough to get out a Time Twister with sufficient mana, and then kill me with Stormseekers and Amnesia, following up with a big threat. So he power sinks me here, and I can actually pay for it, but it costs me the Lotus, and I'm electing to do that. So now I can't disenchant. I only have the City of Brass untapped. But yeah, I wanted him to use... Oh, he time walks. I wanted him to use the Chaos Orb, and I think he will before I can untap. He's considering it. Probably also considering which target to pick here. Yeah, okay. No, okay. So this is surprising that he picks the Spectrum, but I suppose that Jusumjin does damage to me as well. He must be feeling rather confident that I can't remove his Mace of Ith. Jusumjin can do so much damage so fast. But at this present board state, I suppose it makes sense. Jusumjin will kill me, and there's the Amnesia. Oh, ouch. So, as a disenchant, a Sword to Plowshare, and a Time Twister. All gone. And there's an impotent Jusumjin just eating me slowly. Okay, but I draw straight into a Wheel of Fortune. That was fortunate, haha. So we have a full hand again. And now, here we go. Away with that pesky Mace of Fifth, and the Dusamjit can put some work in. Excellent. 5 points of damage, he's at 8 life now. All we need is a Time Walk, or a Lightning Bolt, or anything, actually. So he puts out a Sol Ring. That won't really protect him. Oh, okay, but there's something big coming here. Okay, it's a Djinn. And a factory. And he actually has 2 blue mana sources up to protect it, so this could potentially be pretty dangerous. And he can block the Dusamjit and survive, and kill the Dusamjit. But if he attacks with it, I can get in. Okay. Another big card here. Okay, so he brain geyses himself for a lot of cards. 5? Probably 5 cards. This could turn the game. I mean, it's really hanging in the balance here. And he still has mana to protect that Mahamudi Djinn. If I can just Swords to Plowshare it, I can get in. But I can't do it. And he just that Djinn just holds the Dusam back. Just puts a hand on his head and he can't reach him. Okay, so he plays Time Twister. That's a big risk just right after a Brain Geyser here. I'm considering disenchanting his stuff, but he has so much mana, and I probably shouldn't throw away my life like that. I'm using the City of Brass, but I do disenchant this Sol Ring. He just seems to have so much mana at this point, so it's more about brute force than lack of green mana at this point. So it's a debatable play, but I choose to do so. I think it's fine though. So we draw a new hand. Oh, there's the Amnesia. That's his game plan. Look at this. I was feeling so gleeful. I had a complete hand, not a single mana of the 7 cards, and usually that would be an awful starting hand. But at this point, it was such a good hand to twist into, and he just removes it. So he's at a 6 card advantage, even though he just threw away the Brain Geyser. Then he Ancestrals. That's 9 cards now, at least. I threw away the Brain Geyser before, I mean. Okay, so he just Sonic Blasts me and attacks me with that Dusamjit. Wow. And I'm at 1 life in my draw step, and that's a Lotus. And I can bolt him. And he mana drains me. Okay, good game. Very tight, very close. That Amnesia, man, just turned out the lights completely. I would have won, I think, if it wasn't for that. So after this, I think I have some games straight after this one with us playing against each other with sideboards, and then we have probably a final of some sorts. So I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.